grab a drink and settle down, because we have the final Marvel TV series until our corporate Disney overlords take over everything.
I, for one, salute our new corporate overlords. Now, family, put on the mouse ears.
Yes, Jessica Jones Season 3 has come to an end, bringing with it the end of the Netflix Marvel Universe. So, in this episode, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the ending, its villain, and how everything came together to give us one of the most character-driven Marvel shows ever. The season ends with Jessica at the train station, asking for a one-way ticket to as close to Mexico as she can get. She's packed her bags and even handed the keys of her detective agency over to Malcolm. Ironically enough, if you go back to episode 1, this is what Malcolm wanted all along, to start his own PI firm.
Well, with the experience you get here, along with my eventual recommendation, you'll be able to launch your own PI firm.
Jessica tells us through narration that the cost of being a hero is too much, stating,
"What's it gonna take to make it feel right?" The answer is too much.
The events of this season have taken their toll on her. First, having to fight off the serial killer Gregory Salinger, who we'll get to in a bit, only to find out the only family she has left in the world, her sister Patricia, is the real villain of the season. With her behind bars, she decides to leave everything behind and skirt her responsibilities as a bona fide hero. Right before she accepts the ticket, however, she's haunted by the voice of Kilgrave, the villain from Season 1.
Give up. It's someone else's job now.
Notice also the purple glow, purple being heavily associated with Kilgrave's character. It's at this point that Jessica leaves the ticket behind and decides to stay in New York, ready to tackle whatever case comes her way. She has completed her character arc of accepting herself as a hero. And this arc is contrasted with Trish, who at the end accepts herself as the villain.
I'm the bad guy.
Yes, you are.
Trish starts the season having been given superhuman powers in Season 2. She can now be the hero Jessica never fully embraced. We see her training, listening to the police radio, and even going to a costume shop to try on new superhero looks, even turning down a costume that looks a lot like Hellcat, the character she's based on. For Trish, she can finally make a difference, rather than wasting her time hawking clothing on her shopping network show. But early on in the season, Trish's methods are shown to be in direct contrast to Jessica's.
You know what, Jess? You do it your way. I'm gonna do it my way.
In episode 5, Trish and Jessica argue about how they should get Salinger to confess. Trish wants to beat the crap out of him, letting her emotions get the best of her, while Jessica is more practical. If they're going to lock Salinger up, they're going to need proof, evidence, things need to be done a proper way. It's these differing methods that will eventually lead Trish to go full villain.
Never go full
villain. Whereas Jessica hates to be in the spotlight, Trish embraces it. I mean, could you expect anything less than a former child star? She even calls upon a photographer to take pictures of her as the masked vigilante. She wants people to know she's fighting the bad guys. But this all changes at the end of episode 8 when Salinger kills Trish's mother, Dorothy. Fueled by rage, Trish breaks into Salinger's apartment, assaulting 2 innocent police officers in the process. Instead of bringing Salinger into custody, she takes justice into her own hands, about to kill him until she's stopped by Jessica. From here, she secretly teams up with Eric and first accidentally kills the crooked cop Nussbaumer, then brutally murders a builder who she believed responsible for 14 fire-related deaths. Deaths he claims were accidental. She takes justice into her own hands without giving this guy a fair trial or hearing his side of the story. What's worse is that this murder has more to do with her taking out her rage for Salinger than it has to do with justice at all. This is shown when the camera switches to her beating up Salinger as if she's fantasizing about beating him up. When Eric arrives, he's shocked at what she's done. Eric, who has the ability to feel if others are good or bad, now feels that Trish has turned to the dark side, and instead of contemplating what she's just done, this is what she says.
Is the world better? I can make it better.
She essentially doubles down, obsessed with making things better, and she believes she can make the world better by killing the person she wants to most, Salinger, which is exactly what she does at the end of the episode. While in custody, Trish brutally murders Salinger, who would have spent the rest of his life locked away. But this isn't before she asks him what he needed to see in her mother.
What did you need to see?
Her truth. And now I see yours. so will Jessica.
The death of Salinger at the hands of Trish is the final straw that shows Jessica Trish's true nature, and that ultimately she must be stopped. Gregory Salinger, who is portrayed as the main villain throughout the season, is an interesting case because he doesn't rely on superpowers to fight Jessica Jones. He uses his smarts, using Jessica's moral compass against her. Jessica knows that she can walk right into his apartment and kill him, but part of what makes Jessica a hero is her moral compass. She's a private eye. She believes in evidence, the criminal justice system, and bringing down the bad guys the right way. Because Salinger is so smart and covers his tracks so well, putting him behind bars is much more difficult. She'll need to rely not on her super strength to bring him down, but plain old detective work. In this way, Salinger and Jones are an equal match. Even though she can kick the crap out of him in wrestling, she'll need to outsmart and outwit this dude who holds 4 degrees and can kill without leaving a trace. But why does Salinger kill? He isn't evil just for the sake of being evil. His motivations are driven by his upbringing and psychology. In episode 6, when he has Eric tied up, we get a little more insight into his character. As a child, his older brother Donnie got all the love and affection from his father. No matter what Greg did, his brother was always the favorite. When Donnie died in a tragic tractor accident, Gregory thought he would then become the favorite, but instead his father said he should have been the one to die. It's this event that created Salinger's disdain for people who are privileged, entitled, and fake.
You never worked hard or made any effort to improve. It was handed to you.
Salinger's hate for supers like Eric and Jessica now becomes clearer. Eric and Jessica didn't have to work for their powers, they just got them. Just like how Donnie didn't have to work for his father's love, he just got it. This jealousy fuels Salinger to become better, work harder, hence the 4 degrees. Even when Jessica visits the De Silva family, the mother and father of Nathan, who was Greg's first kill way back in high school, they tell Jessica that wrestling to Nathan came very easy. He was born with a talent for it, which resulted in Greg, who worked hard at it, still being beaten every time. This jealousy kept growing in Greg until he eventually killed his friend and buried him under the gazebo. I guess an apt analogy would be the film Amadeus, where the composer Salieri, who devoted his entire life to music, is outperformed by Mozart, who was born with an innate gift for musical composition. Salinger also takes photos of his victims the moment they see the truth in themselves. He wants his victims to know the lie they've been telling themselves. When he has Jessica tied up, for example, he wants her to admit that she's always, deep down, wanted to be a hero. Her rock garb look is her costume, her detective agency a lazy cliche front to help others. But more importantly, if she's not a hero, then the death of her parents would have been for nothing.
You believe they were sacrificed in exchange for your gifts, that they died so that you could save the world.
She was given these powers. What if she did nothing with them? It would be a waste and her parents would have died for nothing.
My mother thought there was nothing more precious in the world than talent, and nothing more shameful than wasting it.
And it's this idea of what makes a hero which is at the core of this season. In episode 1, Jessica states,
I hate heroism.
At almost every turn, Jessica does her best to distance herself from the word. It's the lie she tells herself.
A hero is strong. A hero is invulnerable. A hero has a goddamn spleen. Trish needed a hero. She got me.
And you're the quintessential hero?
Not even close.
Being a hero is not just about being strong, it's about making tough decisions. And that's exactly what Jessica does when she takes down her own sister, the newspaper even proclaiming her a bona fide hero. This decision was helped by the appearance of Luke Cage at the beginning of the final episode.
This thing you gotta do, it's hard. Real hard.
He knows he had to put away his own brother. It was tough and still haunts him, but it's what had to be done. Running away from it won't solve her problems, but facing them head on just might, which is why she turns away at the end of the episode, ready to start a new chapter of her life. Two other characters who start new chapters at the end are Jerry Hogarth and Kith. Jerry, who we learn is dying from ALS, spends much of the season trying to keep her firm afloat while simultaneously masterminding plans to win back her true love. And it's Jerry's methods of going about getting Kith back that make her a villain in her own right. She ends up exposing Kith's husband Peter for his charity embezzlement scam, which results in him killing himself. It's Jerry's selfish desire for Kith that drives her to do bad things. In the end, however, Jerry actually sacrifices herself, taking herself prisoner under Trish so that Kith can be free. But even that gesture isn't good enough for Kith.
You did what you did because we were both in a dangerous, insane situation that you created.
Yes, Jerry did sacrifice herself for Kith, but that never would have happened if Jerry didn't make a multitude of immoral decisions. She blackmailed Peter, represented serial killer Greg Salinger, and had Malcolm engage in criminal behavior to keep her guilty clients out of jail. Jerry deserves what she got, and check out this savage takedown by Kith.
I know, you don't want to die alone. But you're going to.
There's also Malcolm, who I won't talk to in great detail as his arc doesn't really influence the ending of the series, but he ends up ruining his whole relationship with Zaya and kinda got what he deserved too. He did Jerry's dirty work, like putting a known drunk back behind the wheel. He hooks up with a prostitute, and this loss of moral integrity should have consequences, so I'm all for Zaya leaving him. I just wonder, with Jessica deciding to stay in New York, if she'll be wanting those keys back. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I have more videos on the way, so you'll want to stay tuned. You can also follow me on Twitter at ThinkStoryYT, and until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.